The British and Irish Lions roared to an emphatic 54-7 victory over the Western Force in Perth, showcasing their power, precision, and emerging young talent. It was a statement win to start their Australian tour, but the night wasn't without its setbacks. From the very first whistle, the Lions showed an urgency that had been lacking in their previous outing against Argentina. Just 96 seconds into the match, skipper Dan Sheehan set the tone with a sensational piece of athleticism. Leaping high to catch a pinpoint cross kick, Sheehan had the awareness to release the ball mid-air to James Lowe, then stayed alive in the play to take the return pass and finish the move with the game's opening try. The Force weren't about to be passive spectators. Wallabies winger Dylan Pietsch lit up the first half with electrifying line breaks that had the Lions scrambling in defence. Time after time, Pietsch cut through the Lions line, giving the home crowd something to cheer about and raising his hand for Wallabies selection. But for all their flair, the Force lacked the clinical edge to turn possession and territory into points. Despite dominating with 60% possession and 67% territory in the first half, the scoreboard told a different story. Henry Pollock, at just 20 years old, was the standout performer. Touted as a future superstar, he didn't just meet expectations, he smashed through them. His tackle-busting runs were a constant menace to the Force defense. One such burst saw him breaking through tackles and, even while grounded, managing a sensational offload to set up Tomos Williams for his first try. Pollock's influence grew as the match wore on. His work rate in defense, energy at the breakdown, and relentless carrying underlined why he's considered one of the brightest prospects in Northern Hemisphere rugby. By the 17th minute, the Lions were up 14-7, courtesy of that brilliant Pollock-Williams combination. But the Force weren't done yet. Showing grit and determination, they put together a 19-phase attacking sequence, finally crossing through scrum half Nick White. The Force believed they had momentum, but the Lions quickly extinguished that fire. Fly half Finn Russell, always one to play with instinct and vision, caught the Force napping with a quick tap penalty. The resulting movement ended with fullback Elliot Daly slicing through for the Lions' third try. It was a killer blow right before halftime. Just before the break, there was a hiccup for the tourists. Pollock was shown a yellow card after his team conceded a string of penalties. Down a man and with the Force pushing hard, the Lions looked vulnerable. But even with 14 men, they managed to repel the Force and took a 21-7 lead into the break. The second half began with more fireworks. In the 47th minute, Tomos Williams acrobatically dived over in the corner for his second try of the night. Unfortunately, it came at a heavy price. The experienced Welshman pinged his left hamstring mid-dive. His frustration was visible as he hobbled off the field, knowing the injury could jeopardize his involvement in the rest of the tour. At that point, the Lions were leading 26-7 and the floodgates opened. Their superior fitness, skill, and depth began to show. The Lions went on a 5-try rampage in the second half, turning the contest into a procession. Pollock continued to lead the charge. Whether it was chasing kicks, making tackles, or providing support runs, he seemed to be everywhere. Dan Sheehan also kept driving the team forward, marshalling the forwards with authority. Elliot Daly's attacking spark remained potent. Alongside Russell, he orchestrated several sweeping backline movements that tore the Force defense apart. The Lions' offloading game clicked into gear, with forwards and backs combining seamlessly. The replacements bench made an impact too. Fresh legs brought renewed energy, and the Lions kept their foot on the throttle. Every time the Force tried to mount an attack, the Lions' defense stood firm. Andy Farrell, who had been highly critical of his team's performance against Argentina, would have been pleased with this response. The ruthlessness, speed, and execution his side showed were exactly what he demanded. The Force, for all their effort, simply couldn't match the Lions' physicality and tactical sharpness in the second half. Dylan Pietsch remained a bright spark, but he lacked support as the game drifted further from the home side's reach. The Lions' forwards dominated the collisions. Their scrum gained ascendancy, and at the breakdown, they turned over key ball. The lineout worked like clockwork, providing a steady platform for the backs to launch their attacks. Defensively, the Lions were disciplined. Even when under pressure, they kept their shape and tackled with commitment. The only real lapse had been the Nick White try in the first half, but after that, their wall was nearly impenetrable. By full time, the scoreboard read 54-7, a fitting reflection of the Lions' dominance. 8-1 told the story. Pollock walked off to a standing ovation, having underlined his potential on the biggest of stages. Daly and Sheehan also earned plaudits for their leadership and execution. The loss of Tomos Williams was the only sour note on an otherwise triumphant night. Now, the Lions turn their attention to the next challenge. On Wednesday night, they'll face the Queensland Reds at Brisbane's Lang Park. That match will provide another opportunity for fringe players to stake their claim for Test selection. Farrell and his coaching team will hope for another commanding performance, but injury management will now become a key talking point as the tour progresses. The Force, meanwhile, will lick their wounds. They showed fight in the first half but were ultimately outclassed. For Pietsch and a few others, there were positives to build on as they are national selection. For the Lions, this was more than a win. It was a statement. The tour is well and truly underway, and the tourists have sent a clear message to Australia and the wider rugby world: the Lions are here to conquer.